Hello, friends. We have discussed the introduction part of the shape of economy. Now we are going to discuss the fundamental economic activities. And I would like to, because in the book also it has been elaborated that the evolution of present monetary system has taken a pretty long time. There is a recorded history of economic activities of our earlier generations. And the shape at that time of economic activities was just limited to physical activities of consumption and production. That's all. Because monetary unit was not evolved in those days. Even in quite recent time, I have in my memory that people living in forest, they used to come with their forest produce and just offer it at their produce at a dirt cheap rates to smart traders. They would take their produce and because their requirement of consumption was very limited. They just wanted salt and maybe few spices and just saris for their woman folk and just a little bit of clothing for the man because their requirement was they were quite sturdy. There was no they don't require any warm clothing and so on and so forth and shirt, pant, and all these things. I didn't find any one of them wearing it. What I mean to say is that the requirement of consumption has evolved over a very long period of time. And initially, it was the quest for survival when our earlier generations they were living in the caves. So naturally, their requirement was just to hunt down few animals and eat it. That's all. They somehow, at a later stage, they started igniting fire just to roast the meat. They didn't know how to produce any of the agriculture produce which we are consuming now because their only requirement was the meat of the animal they hunted. Later on, when they wanted to settle somewhere and naturally from forest they moved to grasslands. So they started that there are something in those grass which are eatable. So they identified such kind of produce and they started cultivating it. It took a time, it took a pretty long time for them to engage in a systematic activity of agriculture. But after the initial stage of caveman, the agrarian economy started, and then even at that time, there was no monetary system evolved, and they were just what I student of economics they are quite well aware of the barter system. Barter means I exchange my produce with the production of another produce produced by another person. This was the barter system because if I have a surplus, I require certain amount of eatable to last for 6 months or say 1 year. And if I have more than what I can consume, that was exchanged. And this exchange initially was eatable only. But as the requirement grew, the exchange was for other commodities as well. And as the eating habits change, initially it was only the salt, but then the chili, pepper, and there are so many spices. They were more tasty. To make the product tasty, spices were used by them as a cooking medium. And this is how the requirement of our needs were diversified. At the same time, when the civilization grew and with the growth of civilization, we started wearing finer clothes, garments, and we engaged in having different kind of dishes from maybe chicken and meat and other thing. But now the shift was also for agriculture, say vegetarian food. So different kind of sweet dishes and salted dishes and aromatic dishes. So this is how the requirement of our consumption grew, and what we witness today is the natural progression of our civilization, where now we have the outlets for fast food, easy to cook food, and various kind of combination. Because now, if I go to any restaurant, if I see the menu, I will find that there are Chinese dishes, there are Italian dishes, there are Spanish dishes. Somebody will ask for the pasta, somebody will ask for the burger. So different kind of taste emerge, and accordingly the market also grew. With the integration of the world economy, you will find that the dishes popular in India are now quite a hit in European market also. They started liking chicken tikka type of a thing and paneer and spicy food, which Indians are known for their taste. Similarly, Chinese product eatables, because they combine, they try to make the taste as much pure as it is grown. They don't mix too much spices, but then they use some kind of flavors only, and it is quite hit in Indian market, and all over the world you will find there are Chinese restaurants catering to the taste of a large section of society. Why I need to elaborate on all these things? That the quest for survival, it is a quest for survival in different perspective. Earlier, the quest for survival for only limited to certain basic needs, and later on, now we find that our quest for survival has not come to an end, because we don't know what kind of change in the atmosphere will affect our production of eatables. And we are also planning to move out of on space mission. They are a very different kind of energy giving and nutrient rich food will be required, and you will have to compromise somehow on the taste of it. Different kind of labs are working on the food, especially designed for those astronauts orbiting in the Earth station, and since we are planning a very big journey to outer space, so what I mean to say is that the scenario for quest of survival will force us to have a different kind of needs, and the pattern of consumption will change. But the basic nature of consumption and production will remain same so long as we are physical being. We have a body to live, to sustain, to prolong, to provide a healthy body. We will always require a nutritious food and all those kind of amenities, what we call it, because now the requirement, the market, if you see the market, the entertainment market, it was not earlier there. Now you see internet, with the evolution of the internet, the distances are diminishing. We are coming closer, the society is now coming closer and closer and closer. And the exchange of, say, the music, cuisines, fashion, standard of living, the way people live, everything is now quite different. What we used to listen as a to entertain ourselves is now quite different. It is not just the classical music of tomorrow, but it's the pop music, it is the rock music also come stepping in. Similarly, you see the movies, the movies produced in Bollywood have a field day all over the world, and our movie makers are influenced by their, say, Bollywood is influenced by the Hollywood, and Hollywood is also influenced by Bollywood. So, different level of integration will make us have a different kind of close-knit society, and the market conditions will also change because market has to respond to the need of consumption. If I require a 5G mobile phone, the market should be ready to supply. Supply chain will only begin when there is a progression from 4G to 5G. So, what conceivable consumption of tomorrow will be, that will depend on the development of science and technology. If it is feasible to produce something at the rate which the consumers can pay, only then the production of those items will stabilize. Like, say, for example, I say that I need a certain thing which has been invented, but it is not available in the market. Why? Because the requirement of that kind of product is quite, the demand is quite limited. And if it is produced, the cost of production will be very high. So most of the people will say that we can't afford it. If you can't afford it, the demand cannot grow, and simultaneously the industry also cannot start producing a very sophisticated gadget. I am just quoting the example of a electronic item, but it applies to almost everything. Like, say, in India, we don't have that much of purchasing power. So initially the industry was, say, it was transformed by Maruti 800 or Suzuki 800 because it was a small car, cheap car, the mileage was good, Japanese technology was proven, and this is how the automobile industry grew in India. The growth of, you can say, the credit goes to Maruti 800. That was only 800 cc car. And now With the development of technology and increase in the purchasing power of consumers of Indian market, you will find that the SUVs are more in demand and small car, budget car, automobiles like Maruti 800, they have to stop production of it. So what I'm trying to emphasize is that the production can take place only for those items which are affordable, which are within the purchasing power of consumers. Science and technology may offer very high-end product also. Like there are sport cars also. There is a Porsche and a Lamborghini and yes, so on so forth. But how many people can buy it? In India, these cars, expensive cars, cannot be produced because a few hundred, maybe at the most, buyers don't make the market to grow to a viable level. Their production cannot be financially viable because the consumers are all over the world are very few. So therefore, the cost of production of those cars, those automobiles, limousines, like say Rolls Royce and very high-end Mercedes, and there are other brands also. They cater to just a few billionaires. Ordinary people can't buy it. Therefore, and the billionaires are quite in few number. Therefore, these cars, because they don't enjoy the scale of economy, scale of production, therefore their the cost is very high. So this is the background of progression of the market-based economy, and there has got to be a balance because the when the monetary unit was introduced, the basic function of physical forces changed, and now the monetary system has created in my graph of shape of economy. You will find that there are two basic physical activities because they were before, they are now as much relevant, and as I told you in future also, they will remain same. Physical commodities will always remain same, and the monetary counterpart will also remain same. Income and expenditure, that will also remain same because the reward system which the monetary system has facilitated, because it is not just the function of fixation of rate, at what rate seller is prepared to give and at what rate buyer is ready to buy it, consumer can buy it. Now it is also a reward system. If I say I have a qualification which is more productive, the monetary value I will get as a reward will assure me more income, more salary, more reward system. Similarly, there are other professions also. Doctors also earn quite a lot, and architects also. Lawyers and advocates also earn quite a lot because of their professional expertise and their specialized knowledge of a subject, which everyone cannot have that kind of experience and that kind of education qualification. So the reward system has revolutionized. There is a kind of a revolution in the monetary system because now the function of money, the unit of money, is used for different kind of. Because if I have a surplus, my income is more, I get more salary, more reward for my production, and my consumption is limited, I have a saving. Now, this saving is some kind of a defer. We defer by saving something, mean to say saving something for the rainy days means that money has a stored value to store, that this can be stored also. Banking system is totally dependent on the saving of the citizen, because they take banks for all the financial institutions, they take deposit from their clients, account holders, and give it to someone at a high rate. They give loan to someone who requires money, financial assistance. So the difference between what they give, they pay as interest, and what they get as a interest, the difference is their profit. And we know the banking and financial services are booming all over the world. That is because now the monetary value can be stored, and ultimately, you see, it can be deferred. The saving can be kept in a bank account for not endless time. Because if I say that after retirement I will require it, it means that after my retirement, whatever I have saved, I will start consuming it. If I don't have a house at the time of my retirement, the amount I have saved, I will utilize that money for the construction of my house, my accommodation. Similarly, there are certain needs which we don't know when they will arise. So, a part of that can be deferred. But the point I am trying to make is that deferred payment has to be paid in actual term sometime in the future, maybe sooner or maybe later, because otherwise it will only pass on to the generations and nothing else. Those generations, if they don't have money, they will use it, they will consume it. So it will be deferred till it is consumed by the generations to come, but it will have to be used. But then there is another function, that is a capital. When a consumer makes a saving, it is called, and we see the excess of income over consumption is a saving. So at the end of consumer, it is called saving. But when a producer produces something, the cost of production is less and the selling price is more. In that case, he earns profit. So the difference between the sale price and cost of production, profit, it is retained by the businessman and he uses it as a capital. That is called capital. At the head of producer, it is called capital. And when the excess of income over consumption exceeds at the end of consumer, it is called saving. But the saving, when deposited in the bank account, it becomes it helps in generating capital, because you will find that it is not just the retained profit. Entrepreneurs and the producers, if they have bigger plan of production, they will take loan. And who will give the loan? It is these banks. So this is how the monetary value keep on circulating and keep on. You see, there is a merry-go-round type of a system of circulation of monetary value, and sometimes the rotation is faster, because this is what the growth means. If the rotation is faster, then the cost of capital or cost of borrowing can be minimized. And you will find that most of the big houses, successful big houses, they want their stock turnover ratio, what we call it, faster movement of monetary value. We don't retain it much, but then immediately sell it, immediately realize it, immediately invest it in inventory, immediately convert inventory into finished product, and immediately sell off the finished product, realize it the sell value, and this chain is constantly going on. It cannot be interrupted. Once it is interrupted, the total market chain system that will collapse. So these are the compulsions, and this is the just the purpose of elaboration, because later on we will deal more logically what does it mean, and how the equilibrium between these forces affect the shape of economy. Therefore, I thought it is quite relevant to tell you something about how the system has evolved, and it is in the process of evolving, because we don't know what kind of monetary units will change, because now earlier it was when the electronic currency was not there, it was only the paper currency. But now, if you see the Indian economy, it is all movement of electronic UPI system. There are several platforms like Paytm, PhonePe, Amazon Pay, Google Pay. Everybody is offering digital economy. So, what kind of digital economy? Because now you are also quite aware that there is a cryptocurrency, though it is not very safe. It is at least there are many governments, they don't recognize and they don't allow it to be. They don't make it popular and they don't recognize these cryptocurrency transaction as a valid transaction. Therefore, it is not cryptocurrency is not used in normal course of monetary transaction, because nobody is going to. If I have a cryptocurrency and if I go in the market and offer the seller that you take this cryptocurrency, he will say, "What is this cryptocurrency? What I will do with it?" So, if it is not accepted as an exchange, it has got not the basic feature of money. If it doesn't have a facility of measurement in cryptocurrency, what kind of rate you will fix, what kind of reward system you will fix, can it be retained? There are so many complications, and the economics know it very well that it is full of bugs also, and a lot of frauds and a lot of manipulations, hackers, and because it is all computer based, internet based, and internet process is quite susceptible to be hacked. And when there is a big say attraction like cryptocurrency, somebody holding billions of dollars in a cryptocurrency, there is an attraction for the hackers to hack the account of cryptocurrency of the account holder. So what I the purpose was to let you know that the system is evolving and what kind of stage next we are going to face. It will face, but the basic interactions between the forces of consumption, production, income, and expenditure will remain same. So I conclude this lecture, and we will discuss the next part of it, that how the interaction the forces of attraction and repulsion take place between these two forces, which are quite necessary for stability. So, till then, goodbye. Thank you.